Well, let's talk about forgiveness and what that actually is and how you can forgive the person in your life who you need to forgive. And I'll give you a little hint. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle Corbett. I am the owner of The Best Part, a life coaching company for women to help them with personal development and achieving their goals. Today, I want to talk about something extremely important to your personal development, and that is forgiveness. I know, seems simple, right? But it's absolutely not. And anybody who has ever been wronged or hurt by anybody important to them, or who was supposed to love on them and be kind to them, who they were supposed to feel safe with, knows exactly what I'm talking about. Now, my first experience with true forgiveness and having to learn that came in the form of the worst relationship I have ever had and hope to ever have in the future. I've learned so much from this experience that, to be completely honest, I ended up thanking this man for putting me through what he put me through and for introducing me to the things that he introduced me to, because I am the woman who I am today because of it. And I couldn't be more grateful, which sounds sort of backwards, but in reality, it has strengthened my relationship with God, it's strengthened my relationship with myself, and it's strengthened my relationship with those who I now share my life with. It's very important to look at these situations with the perspective of graciousness, especially when it comes to forgiveness. Well, let's talk about forgiveness and what that actually is and how you can forgive the person in your life who you need to forgive. And I'll give you a little hint. This is about you forgiving the person in your life who you need to forgive so you can move on. If you're having a hard time putting something behind you, let me tell you, forgiveness is the very first thing to letting that happen, actually making that happen. And sometimes we do have to make the forgiveness happen, but forgiveness is imperative to our future, to our happiness, and our ability to form relationships that are healthy. Let's get into it. In order to work on your ability to forgive and finally put it behind you, the very first thing you need to do is forgive yourself. Yes, forgive yourself. A lot of times forgiveness comes with this idea that we did something wrong, or because we allowed this to happen, or because we didn't set ourselves up to be in a better situation, we walked into a situation or we stayed in a situation that was not bad for us, we beat ourselves up so badly over these things. I have been here a million times, and I'm here to tell you that is not the way. It's not going to get you anywhere. All it's going to do is get you into a negative cycle of self-doubt and negative talk, and it's going to tear you down little by little over the course of a lifetime. Forgive yourself. That is 100% the first step to putting something behind you. The second step to putting something behind you when it comes to forgiveness is to forgive them. Now, for a lot of people, this is the hardest part. Forgiving somebody else for wronging them feels kind of backwards. It feels like, why am I forgiving somebody for hurting me so badly, especially when the hurt is so bad that it's physical or that it's mental? A lot of times it can be spiritual and not just emotional. So you really have to consider the fact that forgiveness is so deep. It's a deep, deep, entrenched gut feeling that we have, and we don't want to give that away because we feel like we're setting ourselves up for some sort of attack again on the other side of it, whether it's from them or somebody who is like them out in the world that we haven't met. And a lot of times what's actually happening is we are putting up a wall that keeps out people who are really there to heal us and really there to help us move through this forgiveness cycle. And it is a whole cycle. It's a whole, you have to go through all of the emotions and go through the acceptance and actually talk yourself through all of it, sort of like grief. There is a lot going on when it comes to forgiveness, but you've got to at least attempt to forgive the other person before you can move on. No matter how hard that is, actually saying, I forgive them, I forgive them, I forgive them, even if you don't fully believe it yet, will help you get from anger to peace, believe it or not. Not only that, it is a commandment from the Lord our God. He has forgiven us of our sins, and Lord knows we've sinned, so we need to forgive others. We will never have peace if we cannot forgive them. Another way that we can work on forgiveness and how to move past situations that have called for us to forgive is to stop dwelling on them. Yes, stop dwelling on them. And sometimes that actually means to talk about it. A lot of times people don't want to talk about their experiences. They feel like their experiences are unique and that nobody understands and that nobody can help them. And that's not true. All of our experiences are unique, yes, but people go through similar things. And when you talk about it and you share your experiences, that is cathartic in and of itself. Not only that, but when you talk about it with people who have had similar experiences, then you can understand that these feelings that you're feeling are normal and it's okay to feel that way. But it's not okay to stay in that horrible feeling, especially when it comes to anger and self-doubt and negativity towards yourself and towards that person. That's no way to live. You've got to learn to forgive them, to forgive yourself, and to stop reliving that moment over and over again. Trauma, it is said, is not what happens to you, but what happens within you from what happened to you. So consider that when you're talking about forgiveness and when you're thinking about forgiveness and when you're telling yourself, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to open myself up to this opportunity to practice forgiveness. And I do believe that forgiveness is a practice. It is something that we have to work on over and over. People who have been deeply hurt know and understand that it is not something that you can just do and say one and done and move on. It is something that you have to constantly be working on, as far as in your mind, in your gut, in your heart. And it's okay for it to be a work in progress and for it to be a practice, but it's not okay to not put it into practice. So make sure that you're not dwelling on the situation. And if you find that you are, get yourself a buddy, get yourself a therapist, get yourself somebody who you can talk through that process while you're working on moving through that process and not just sitting and stewing in it. Now, this point is sort of similar to the point I just made where I said not to dwell on it, but this is to recognize that sitting in it and stewing in it is only affecting you. Your anger is not affecting the person that did this thing to you. It's only affecting you. Why give that person so much control over your life when that moment is gone? It's in the past and you don't have to relive it and you don't have to revisit it any more than you want to or that you need to. However, sometimes revisiting it and sometimes expressing emotions about it is helpful. So keep in mind whenever you do, because naturally I've lost my father. I do think about him. It does make me cry. It's been 7 years now and I still tear up and cry at the most random things. And so I understand that pain can affect you in multiple ways, and it can affect you surprisingly in a way that you weren't expecting. But that doesn't mean that you need to live in that pain. And I didn't let that pain of losing my father stop me from having a son, knowing that he wasn't going to be involved in his life. I still wanted to have a child because I wanted to experience that for myself. I felt that that's a very important thing. It's a commandment from God to have a child. So even though I lost my father, and even though that's hard, I didn't let that stop me. And sometimes whenever we experience bad things and we're having a hard time forgiving somebody or forgiving ourselves, we let that stop us from moving on in our lives. So not only do we dwell in it, but it stops us from actually taking action on the things that we need that will be good for us in the future. So don't let it stop you. All it's doing is hurting you. It's not hurting them. You're letting them continue to hurt you by stopping yourself from moving on. So get yourself in the mindset and in the mind frame of moving on. And finally, the very last thing about forgiveness that we all need to keep in mind is the silver lining in the experience. And sometimes this is the hardest. It doesn't seem like it would be the hardest because it's also the happiest, but it can be the hardest because you always want to say, why me? Why did I have to go through this? Why couldn't this have just never happened? Why do these evil things happen in the world? There's so much that goes into this, but consider that there's always something about your story that can be used for good if you let it. A lot of times people's trauma and their difficulties in life end up becoming their biggest blessings because they take those experiences and they can bless others. They can serve others with those experiences and that knowledge and that peace that they have gleaned from those experiences. Not everything has to have a negative impact just because it initially was a negative impact. So keep in mind the silver lining next time you're reliving anything that was negative and you're having a hard time forgiving someone. Trust me, we all have things in our lives that we have difficulty with forgiving. You're not alone, and your perspective and your experience is not something that should be weighing you down. It's something that should be strengthening you and uplifting you because you've been through it and you can get through it and you know that you can get through it. And that is why I'm here today to do this with you, because I have been through my fair share of things that deserved forgiveness for those people who did those things to me. And so my hope for today is for you to be encouraged and for you to feel enlightened and uplifted. And I also want to let you know that there is help available. A lot of people are familiar with therapy, but not a lot of people are familiar with life coaching. And a lot of times a therapist and a life coach together is really the way to go. Now, if you're not familiar with life coaching, feel free to check out my website. I've got it linked down below. I do have several different packages that I have created just for women like you who need help in various aspects of their life. The package that we're talking about that applies most to the topic of today is the Ultimate Mindset Reset Package, and that is available from my website. If you have any questions, just let me know and comment them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I just want to encourage you. You've got this. You're amazing. You can go after your goals. You don't have to let those things keep you stuck and keep you angry and keep you sad. Let it go. Take a deep breath. Own who you are. You're amazing. Thanks so much for watching my video, and remember, the best part starts now. I'll see you in the next one.